Hello, everybody. I have to do this again because everybody thinks that they're use of force experts. So let's talk Makiah Bryant, shall we? Verbal commands. She ignored them. Remember American History X, when the white guy went out of his house to stop a bunch of people from jacking his dad's truck, curb stomped one of them and shot a bunch of the other ones? Well, the cops rolled up and immediately pulled their weapons and pointed them at him. He was the victim of a crime. He was just defending his property. Surely they could have used other methods. Notice that he immediately complied. Even in a film, they understood that in this situation, he would know, his character, that the cops were going to come guns blazing because they only had the context of the dispatch. When you're arriving on a scene and all you see is chaos, you respond to the person with the most dangerous implement in hand. Second issue, shoot the knife out of their hand. There are several recorded incidences, and I mean several, in the entire history of U.S. force policing and military authorized use of force instances, where people have actually been able to successfully disarm an attacker by shooting the hand holding the weapon. They were performed by snipers in perfect stable conditions, and even then, those were not the authorized uses of force. In those situations, they could shoot the suspect using full lethal force, and that would have been the preferred methodology because it is more reliable. Shoot the leg. The reason that police officers and military are not authorized to shoot lower extremities in a use of force incident is because of femoral arteries. It is still a lethal wound, potentially. Not to mention, under stress, at high speed, with pressure, with a small caliber pistol, it's virtually impossible. You cannot guarantee a safe hit, nor can you guarantee that the threat will stop. Why didn't he simply disarm the attacker? Why not use empty-handed skills? He could. Closing the distance between him and the perpetrator, as well as the victim, whose name is not known because it's not important to anybody, may have resulted in the victim receiving multiple stab wounds before said disarming could have taken place, not to mention putting the officer at higher risk unnecessarily. There's a reason we train officers to create distance and to use higher force tools than the perpetrators potentially attacking them. You come at me with a pipe, I come at you with a gun. You pull a knife, you will get shot, period. This is how they're trained everywhere. She made the call for help. How dare he shoot her? Doesn't matter. See previous incident with the American History X example. They show up and all they see is chaos. Just because a dispatcher says some things doesn't mean they know what's going on. They're walking into a chaotic situation every time they respond to a violent incident. They see the person who is causing the most potential harm, and that is the threat that they seek to stop first. She shouldn't have been killed at all. I mean, aren't these cops racist? Prove it. Prove they're racist. Prove intent. How are you going to do that? Your feelings? It's a stupid argument. Don't use it. Every single one of these factoids that I provided to you have been something that have been drilled into my head for a couple of decades now. Personal experience, training, and training others. Unless you have those facts embedded, combined with actual living experience, you're not equipped to have a serious contribution to this topic. Your opinions mean nothing. And yet, it's the opinions of people who mean nothing that are driving the conversation and determining policy for the rest of us. That girl would have been dead if your policies had been enacted. And the cop may have been wounded in the process because they hesitated. This is not effective policing. This is not the way we do things. You see a crime in process with a knife. You tell the perpetrator at gunpoint multiple times to drop the weapon, to stop what they're doing, and they do not. They will be shot.